And I won. Looks like. And I won.
Dude,
I won.
you crushed it. You crushed it.
Nice.
See, normal with normal
Nice.
people I flex, but with you it just feels embarrassing to do that.
You
I feel like your arm is the size of my entire torso. It might
think
be.
so?
You think it is? Maybe.
Ah,
Close.
close maybe. I don't know.
Close.
No.
Anyway,
Uh,
dude. So okay, we're gonna go over this game. That means we're live together. Sweet. I'm gonna
that's
go to your
pretty
channel too.
nice. Nice.
I got my lunch being finished here. Little flip bar action.
We're gonna be doing
Nice.
an AMA to celebrate the unsung heroes of Twitch.
Well,
The
how you been,
moderators,
man?
The
How's been the
community
week?
wouldn't be what it is without you and the mods. Thank you
It's
so
it's
much.
it's it's it's
Warren's
been
here. How
it's
you doing,
been
Ethan?
a bit crazy, to be honest with you. I've
Yeah.
been I've been very busy, extremely busy actually. But it's been good. It's been good. I just bought a house not so long ago, and I was
Okay.
supposed to get it the keys of the house on the 20th of October, but I got it yesterday.
Nice.
So
That's a
I've
little
been,
early, right?
Yeah, a little bit early, but that's good though.
Yeah.
It's nice. Gives me some extra time to get organized because yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Yeah, definitely super nice because yeah, we wanna get settled in soon because
Yep.
my wife is 33 weeks pregnant and
I was gonna say I know, but that's your first kid, right?
my second.
Oh, your second kid. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. And how old is your first?
11 years old. I was a young dad. I was young. I just turned 20 when I had my daughter.
I had my first kid at 20. Look at that.
Oh really?
But I have 4 kids, so
You have 4 kids.
I have 4 kids, man. It's a slippery slope.
Wow.
But no more. No more. We're shutting
No.
down the studio.
Are you sure though? It would be nice to have like 6 or 7.
Right? Exactly. Don't. Everyone teases that, but it's not funny. It literally gives me heart palpitations thinking about having more kids.
Oh shit! I mean, you already have 4. Why not just like?
Well, because we're choosing whatever little sanity we have left. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I understand. Like as much joy children bring to your life, it's also a lot of work.
yeah,
A lot of work.
especially to do it
So
the right way. You know, I mean, you got to put your time in. I mean, I've got 2 boys,
Mhm.
14 and 11. They're the oldest. So I had my first
Yeah.
kid at 20.
Mhm.
And then I've got 2 girls. So I had 2 boys and then 2 girls, and and we're, like I said, no more kids for this guy. And
How old are your kids?
so 14, 11, 8, and 4.
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
So there you go. All right. Well, I mean, you and I got some chess. So are you getting excited? It's the week of the event, right? We've got the groups and the pairings now. Are you?
I mean, I have to admit, I'm excited / nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some puzzles and play every day.
Yeah.
I wish I could have put more time in. I'm going to put more time in. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I feel like a lot of these people that are competing, like they're putting a lot of hours in, and I just wish I. Oh yeah, I'm nervous. That's all I can say. All I can say. I'm a bit nervous.
Well, some of the participants have been putting a ton of time. I don't know that everybody. I don't know that everyone is. I would put you right in the middle of the pack, man. Honestly, I think it's going to be obviously exciting, but at this level, if you put together the right things in the right game, like you can You can do good things. I think that you're not talking about grandmaster level preparation all around, right? And I think if you're sharp, right? If you're sharp tactically, so you're doing puzzles, and we can go over some more openings today. We can also take a look at some of the games you were playing.
Yeah.
If you want, you can log into the live server. Go to chess.com/live in the menu, and I'll invite you to a board, and we'll pull that up.
Definitely.
And we'll do it. I'm gonna get away from this game I was watching, and well, let me go see how many what games you've been playing here. You've been pretty active. You got a lot going on.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, you've got this game against Pope Louis the Seventh. I don't know if we wanna look at that one. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we haven't looked at that one for sure.
I mean, I have to admit, I've had some. I had some good games, and then I had some bad games. I feel like it's so like, yeah, it's true what you say. If I have a sharp games, good games where I actually like perform and I don't blunder, yes, I can probably beat some people that are even better than I. But if I have a bad game competing against these people, I'm not gonna do well. Like, I just have to admit, because like I'm still at the point where I feel like I still do these silly mistakes sometimes, and it's frustrating. Hopefully, by the time that I'm competing, I'll be blundering less.
Yes, I mean, I feel you. One second. Okay, well, so we went over some critical thinking last week about our opponent's threats. Like, I kind of talked about some of the tactics from your games, the discoveries from some not necessarily discoveries, but the tactics that I pointed out you were missing. You were focused on like kind of the immediate conflict of a move instead of seeing like the critical thinking we're trying to establish is every move that is played, before you decide whether it's good or bad, you just take this sort of unbiased, subjective look at what new squares are available for their pieces because of this move, and what squares have been left behind because of this move. And let me actually invite you to an analysis board real quick to kind of show you like a really just sort of simple version of what I'm talking about. So let's see. I'm gonna invite you to a board. You should get brought into a board here. There we go. Right. Here I'll invite you to a second one too, just in case we want to go back and flip flop a little bit. Now we got two analysis boards going we can use back and forth, but this is perfect. So on the last one I just invited you two. I just played e4, right? You can see that? So, like, this is going to sound basic, but it's about, like, building on this critical thinking thing I was talking about. Like, when a move is played, you can literally, before you decide whether this is good or bad, just objectively take into account what squares it becomes available and what squares were left behind, right? So, like, with e4, it's very obvious what pieces become open because of that move, right? The queen and the bishop specifically are pieces that come to mind. You think of the pawn itself making a couple attacking moves, very basic. But what e4 also leaves behind, because it's a pawn move that can't return, is it also leaves behind the potential for weaknesses on the dark squares, right? And that's super basic. We all know that white is doing fine here. But part of the reason why the two most popular moves for black are actually e5 and c5, the Sicilian, is because objectively, moves that like take advantage of what was philosophically left behind by the e-pawn, which are the dark squares, both of those moves look to take advantage of that. So again, like, I'm backing up now to say, like, obviously that was super basic, and I'm not saying e4 was bad or that leaving those squares behind is bad. But the main point to come around when we think about tactics we're missing is very often, like, as we learn a little bit too much about chess, a move is played and we make assumptions about why they played it. Oh, he played that move to attack this, and because a little bit of like emotion gets involved when we're competing, we're in the moment trying to track tactics. But one of the things that I try to talk a lot about is when we can have those muscles that we build where before we even decide what we think the move is about or whether it's emotionally good or bad or not, we just literally take stock of what that move does on the board. It literally, that like pushing this pawn literally released new squares for this queen and literally released these squares. And I take an optical look at everything that does in a game. And so if you remember, some of the games you and I were looking at, there was like a tactic where a pawn move was made, or actually it was, you remember the one we did where the pawn move was made and you missed that the queen and bishop were threatening checkmate, right? Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
And so that's like, it was obviously much more advanced in the game, and it's understandable why you missed it. You were actually doing a good job. You were focused on the tactic of the pin of the queen on the bishop, and I know you remember the game. Sorry for the chat who's like, what's he talking about? But I'll get through this. The point was, if we build that muscle of like being a little more objective, we blunder less. Like we don't impress our own sort of like view of the move on the board until we've taken stock of like the basic tactics. We will miss these long range moves less. We will miss the rooks on the open files or the bishop from way across the board less if we don't overlook, kind of that just fundamental, every move literally opens new opportunities and creates new weaknesses. Like, unbiasedly, every move we make gains something and loses something, whether we like it or not. The question is, are we gaining more than we've lost? So, we'll move past the chess philosophy now and get into something actual. But I just wanted to say that if we're talking about how do we get ready for a tournament, doing puzzles is great. You should do that. You should continue to play games. And if I was just to give like one critical thinking, it would be, even if it means it feels like I'm pulling you back to a basic fundamental level, really strive this week to just like be objective about every move that is made and try to take stock of every move as quickly as you can. And it just helps build this sort of awareness where we miss tactical sequences and we miss blunders a little less often. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So there we go. I wanted you to say that because we were talking about the critical thinking. Okay, so let's take a look at these last couple of games you played, just because they're fun. You won this game, nice little checkmate. I'm going to invite you to a new board, so we can just look at it here.
Beautiful.
So we're looking at this game where you beat Faye
Shapiro.
Faye Shapiro.
Faye
Okay.
Shapiro.
Faye Shapiro. It looks like it's probably just her name, Faye Shapiro. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. E4, E5. Okay, let's see how we're doing with our openings. You and I worked on opening. Okay, so she played the copycat, and you played knight C3. Did you consider taking the pawn here?
I considered it, but I wanted this to start slowly, protect my pawn. He was taking my pawn. So yeah, I wanted to, if I would take his pawn, he would take mine. So I was just like, what does that gain for me? Nothing. Really? Does it? No.
Well, if you take his pawn,
He takes mine.
second. Oh. Shout out to the raid. Just got a raid of 63 people. Sorry, just got to point that out.
Nice.
Thank you to
What up,
Anamaya. Welcome in, everybody. Meet Haftor Julius, the Mountain from HBO.
What up, guys? How are you guys doing? Yep, big guys do also play chess.
That's right, big guys play chess. So hold on, it does achieve something in the sense that you win a pawn, and if they take here, you can do the tactic that I showed you, last week, right? This idea where you bring the queen to e2, and you're
look, you have better brain pores than I. That's nice.
Well, no, but I did show you. So if you take it, if they know their line, they'll play d6 first. They'll attack your knight and make the knight move. And once the knight moves, then they can consider taking this pawn, because if you pin them, they can unpin it. So it is okay for black if you take the pawn. I just wanted to point out that a lot of people at this level, if they're copycatting you, they may not actually know the line. And if you take this pawn, there's a pretty good chance they might take it, and you might actually just want to go for this battery, right? I mean, this is powerful stuff, because if they move the knight, you just win immediately on the board, right? Just game over.
Yeah, that's actually awesome.
So, okay, so keep that in mind. But all right, knight c3 is great. Not a bad move. Knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop c5. And now this move is a little odd. So what was your thinking behind this move, knight to b5?
Honestly, do not remember. Honestly, do not remember. When I see this right now, I wonder. Like, sometimes I also just play, and to be completely fair with you, in the first beginning, that's probably just wrong on my behalf. Like, in the beginning, I move fast usually. I'm just moving my pieces,
Right.
getting them out. I should have probably pressed this pawn up here on d2 to get my bishop out. Maybe here. I honestly, when I see this right now, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, he would just push his pawn, he would just bring his pawn down,
Well,
and then I have to go back again.
It's
a silly move. I have to admit
the main thing is just that it moves a piece kind of away from the center, which is really where you want your pieces, right? And
yeah,
I think the lesson is that in the beginning, you want to change your mindset from kind of just getting out of the beginning and playing fast to immediately developing plans, right? Where pieces are a part of the plan. And this is a bit of a shift that, like, you want to start making at this level, where we learn basic principles like get our pieces out and get castled, which is true, but those things are part of a greater plan, which is, we want to control the center. We want to attack one side of the board because that's where our strength is or something. The point is, you don't want to have an individual mindset about pieces and where they're moving. You want to have a little more cohesive mindset. And I would say that we know that the center is the most critical area of the board. So even if you're going to move quickly, I would say, like, you want to play d3. You want to get castled. You want to bring more pieces into the center if you can. And do so quickly if you can. Like, it's more about, this is a move that takes a piece away from the center that we want to avoid in future games. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Fair?
Yeah, fair. I agree.
So knight to b5. And also remember, like, our lesson last time, which was, I guess, about a little more than a week ago, we talked about the Joko piano, which is kind of what you do here. It's actually, this is still a version of the Joko piano, even though the knight is here. Instead of, ideally we would have the pawn on d3 already, because I don't know if you remember that plan I showed you where you can play the other pawn to c3 and kind of support the center. Do you remember that idea?
Yeah.
So ideally we would have that, but even if you don't have that, d3 is still a part of your opening, right? I mean, that's an opening we've talked about. And if they castle, you castle, and you can figure out ways to move this knight and go back for that plan of c3 and d4. If you remember, part of the reason I was reminding you to have a plan philosophy versus individual moves is because the individual moves will change. Your opponents play some bad openings, or you screw up, right? You forget your line. It happens, right? You're human. But you want to remember, like, your structural idea that we talked about in the Joko piano is to focus on the center, and when you can, even if it meant, like, as crazy as it sounds, even if it means moving this knight again, like bringing this knight to this square is not the worst idea in the world, and eventually striving for a c3, and we have both the b4 idea and the d4 idea. That's the idea I really want you to start taking into your games, because it's kind of like a map. It's a map, and then even if, you make a wrong turn, you get lost on a back road, that's like the map that's like guiding you toward how we want to play the Joko piano. We want to go for the big center with this pawn structure idea. Make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Cool. Okay, so knight to b5, and then she does grab your pawn, which makes sense. And good for her. She had a heads up play. She saw that your knight kind of left this behind, so she went for it. But then you castled, which is great. And now I love this because she gave up 2 pieces for the rook, but ended up being good for you. You remember last lesson you were worried about the trade of the rook for the 2 pieces, but in this case, I mean, you went on to win this game, so maybe it was a good experience for you to learn that this is actually good for you. Like, 2 minor pieces are almost always better than a rook in the middle game.
Yep.
Do you remember we talked about that?
Yeah, I remember we talked about that, and I've actually always since then changed pieces like that.
Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this particular position, it is a little bit messy, partly because of that move we played knight b5. Like if she had played, actually she can't. Ooh, I'm gonna quiz you now with a tactic. If she had played d5, you actually have a really good. I was gonna suggest d5, but d5 is bad. Let me see if you can see what the tactic is for white.
I mean, if you take this pawn and he takes, you can
Boom,
bring
dude.
your.
Dude, that's tactics, baby. I love it. Yeah, very nice. In fact, that's a huge move because the reason I was going to suggest d5 for black is because if she could get away with this and you had to start making passive moves, despite the fact that you have 2 pieces for the rook, this is actually pretty good for her because she just has so many big pawns, and like I said, this knight was kind of a wandering move. But it actually doesn't work because you have a nice way to take advantage of the fact that the knight is on b5 with this big town fork here. So that's nice.
Yeah.
So she plays e4, and you move the knight. She gives this check, which is indeed scary. I mean, honestly, again, like the 2 pieces for the rook is good for you. You made the right call, but this position is a little awkward, and it still brings us back to, like, this is a good lesson we're going to learn from the future, even though we went on to win this game, that, our pieces are kind of just discombobulated right now. But she castles, and you take, which is nice. You win another pawn. Although she did have a good move here. Let's see if you can spot the next tactic. Good training. So after she castled, probably what you should have done was just focus on, like, getting developed. Something like d3 to open the bishop. Or, something like bring the queen out. Just, like, be safe and bring pieces into the game. Knight takes c7, went for a pawn. But what move could she have played here that she didn't see?
She could have. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out here. I mean, her rook is in trouble, so I'm thinking like she wants to protect that. But is there anything else that she can do? I mean, yes, there's anything else. She can do a check and then kill.
Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Nice. You're seeing it. You're seeing tactics.
Mhm.
This is nice. I mean,
Yeah.
so again, she didn't see it, but so here's a good lesson. Remember, when we talk about these games, like, we want to learn not just that the individual move, knight takes c7, probably wasn't good,
Yeah.
but what's the lesson for future games? I think the
The
lesson
lesson for future games is not being so focused on what you can see, like seeing the whole table. I guess, like, you want to be able to see the big picture, not just because, obviously when I go here, I see I'm attacking her rook, and she was probably worried there, she's probably simple like I am, she was like, oh my god, I'm panicking, I have to move my rook. But if she would just stay calm, and just like think, okay, what can I do now? Where are my pieces? Okay, hey, my queen is here. Hey, if I check here, he's in big trouble.
he's and first of all, that was awesome, and you're totally right. Yeah, I mean, the big picture is it's the hard thing to start seeing, and it's normal that it's because the diagonals, the geometry of the board, that's the challenge where you're at the level now where you're seeing tactics pretty well actually when it's right there and you've got some principles guiding you. And I think this is just the next step of big picture thinking, the full board awareness. And again, it keeps coming back to some of the tactics we've talked about you missing are usually these sort of long range tactics, whether it's a long range diagonal for checkmate with a discovery or whether it's a long range check here. I think you're very good right now. You're seeing tactics well as far as the close range tactics. So this is a good challenge for you this week. Like, try to think about the whole board. The other thing I would add, and this is because this is going to be useful for future games, in that, anytime you're in an unbalanced situation, where I would classify that as an open king or lack of development, like it's not ideal. Even if you've got some pros, you've got some cons, right? It's an unbalanced situation. I would say that one thing to just put in your pocket is king safety has to be paramount in those situations. Like, if you're ranking priorities, the position is a mess, and we know it. So now you have advice. In positions that are a mess, I have to start with my king safety first before I think of anything else. So that's why I like this move d3, because it protects that and just gets more pieces out. I would say even queen e2, partly because if I had one more move and you let me, like let's say black does something random, I would play a move like this and try to get the queens off the board. Because if I can trade the ladies, now my king is totally safe, right? And all of a sudden, all my minor pieces can slowly outplay them. Go back to this idea. So the point is, if anytime we're in one of those volatile situations and you're looking for like a priority system, the king safety and all of the tactics therein, they have to be on the top of your brain. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So again, knight takes c7. So she had that chance. She missed it. You played h3. Again, I don't think that's a bad move. I think you were obviously aware the queen was going to take h2. It still allows this move queen f4, but I like that you were aware of that threat. She missed queen f4 again. She played knight d4. You played c3. So now she brought the queen into f4. It's funny. So she saw it after a few times. She found it. Mm-hmm. You brought the queen out to g4. You're going for an attack. I like it. She got a... Okay, so this starts to get a little bit messy. She takes a1. Now I like the idea you had here, because you took e4, and then you played bishop d3, right? So you had mate on the brain, as they say. Mm-hmm. And she missed it. So I don't want to like overdo kind of the crazy volatile nature of this game, but I will say that if we went back through every one of those moments, if we
looking through this game, I had a bad game. I was just lucky that I won this push initially.
Right, and again, but you were like one move away from consolidating over and over again. Like whether it was back here with queen e2 and queen f2 because the king is in danger, or in the game, still instead of h3, if we're thinking about our opponent's threats, if we put a stop to it, like we're still in good shape. After the move c3, or sorry, instead of c3 here, if you save the knight and bring the knight back, that actually kills two birds with one stone. It guards the queen and brings your knight into a nice central spot. So I'm only repeating those points because no matter how bad a game has gone, like no matter how messy it is, we're usually not far from like consolidating moves if we just get our mind set in order, which is, loose kings and loose pieces can't be things that we settle on. A knight on c7 and a king that's wide open is asking for it, and you're not going to have this exact position again, but you will have games that get nutty, and you've got to just check your priority list and find ways to get pieces around the king, stop your opponent's checks like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
Cool?
Absolutely. Love
it. All right, let's do the other game here. This game. So that other game you won. This game you lost, although you might have actually played a better game overall. So let me invite you to this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go grab some water. Can I get you a snack? Can I get you anything?
I would love a pizza, please.
A pizza? Okay, so just
pizza.
Text me the digits. No, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some water.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Nice, nice.
Okay, feeling good. All right.
Ah,
So, here we go to your next game. Pope Louis, what is that? The 7th he's got there? That's a pretty powerful name. He's the 7th?
he's the 7th.
Am I reading that
Wow.
right? Pope Louis the 7th? Obviously, he's
He,
naming after the Pope, but, you know.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, here we go. So, you face the Sicilian. We've talked about this some, in that, yeah, you've got the same ideas of playing for a structure that you do in the Italian that we talked about. You played knight f3 and then bishop c4, which is okay. Again, one of the things, I don't know if you remember, I showed you that if you face the Sicilian, by the way, you notice that chess philosophy lesson I gave you at the start today where I said the most popular two moves are e5 and c5? Those are the two moves you faced in these two games, e5 and c5, right? And again, there's a reason why. So yes, there's a lot of theory developed on that, but the theory's developed based on what we've learned about everything is like everything has an action and equal and opposite reaction, right? So like that's why I want you to get this kind of objective critical thinking process in your head, because it just allows you to look at things where before you decide and get focused on your own plan, you just constantly are taking stock of positions in ways that prevent blunders. And it's hard to do. Believe me, I'm saying it. It's very hard to do. But it'll help prevent blunders. So anyway, now we face another Sicilian. Bishop c4 is good. You remember we talked about just playing this one right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, we did. And then this one?
Yeah, c3 and d4.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, the one way they could take advantage of this is because your knight is blocked from developing. So if they try to attack the center early, a move you might normally want to play, like knight out, but in this, because it's a Sicilian and not an e5 game, the move you play here is e5. And then you follow that by playing d4, and you're in a good spot. And it's not that this opening is a magical win for white over any other system, but for your openings, as your coach, I'm giving you a position that you can play and feel good about. It's very solid. Now you can play your Italian development of the bishop. You've got a very good center, and it's a structure you're going to be familiar with. So let's remember that. But against the Sicilian, before bishop c4, we're going to play c3 and try to go for this plan. Cool?
Cool. Next time, for
Cool.
sure.
Cool. All right. So bishop c4, g6, castles here, bishop g7, d3. This is fine. Again, this is also very solid, right? I think, and you still have plans. You could still go for the center as you want. Knight f6. So now you go knight g5, and again, this is kind of the way that we play the opening when we we're going for tactics and not our plan. But this isn't the worst. I mean, knight g5 castles. I would actually say that I'm going to give you a positional challenge here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this plan, isn't my favorite from the overall ideas we're going to start playing in our game, you're actually in a pretty good spot here. You've got the pawns facing in one direction, which gives you the potential for strength on that side of the board. So, thinking about playing on this side of the board and how to bring more pieces, the move you played in the game was queen f3, but there's a better move that makes the potential even greater on that side of the board for more strength down the road. So what move do I want you to play here as white?
Boom.
So bishop f4 is a good move. It's a developing move, but it's actually not what I'm looking for here, in the sense that I want to build space on this side of the board where I already have space. So I want to make the potential even greater for space over there, not just pieces.
I mean, something along the line with pressing this pawn up.
Boom! I love it. I have to say, and this is not me blowing smoke. I promise I'm not actually good at that. But I will say this: one of the signs that we look for when we're coaching people, as far as like their feel for chess, often has to do with pawn structure, in that when they understand that, yes, a move like this is superficially looks good, right? It opens up the queen and everything's on the side of the board. But if you actually start doing the math on the tactics, you have no threats. They actually have 95 here. I'm not sure they found it. It looks like they did. But even regardless of that, this move has limited potential because how are more pieces going to get involved? Your queen is actually in the way, and you don't want her to ever be in the way. You want her to be behind the army, right? Waiting to deliver the power moves. So when I quiz you about pawn structure, you've usually done pretty good, and I like that. I'm giving you encouragement. Don't ever quit. I mean, you've got some potential here in terms of your intuitive understanding of it, and this is the kind of move you need to start looking for more often because this is how you develop an attack on this side of the board. Here's the difference. Like now they do something, and you get f5, and now you've got like the rook involved. You've got the pawn as like a spear, sort of leading the way here, and all of these pieces, by the way, haven't changed the fact that they're over here. This is a cool lesson right here. Let me show you something. Like if we actually bring this piece to this side of the board, how many more squares does she actually attack here than she did on d1? Like the answer is not very many, if any. The same with the bishop. It's an optically pleasing move, but it doesn't actually build strength in the position. And we use the term strength in chess to refer to space whenever I'm teaching kids. I teach them space are the squares that you own behind your furthest advanced pawn. So that's your space right now. You actually have more space than black does. Black's only real space is like kind of here. Remember, space, the definition of space in chess are the squares available to your pieces behind your furthest advanced pawns. And in this case, f4 is a space-gaining move that actually makes the potential much bigger on this side of the board. It also, by the way, opens up the rook, and you have the queen, you have the bishop, you have potential now, versus just kind of like superficial tactics. So this isn't me giving you like the green light to only push your pawns in games, but I want you to start thinking about your pawn structure as ways to build strength on the position rather than superficial tactics. Lead the way with the pawns and get your pieces out behind them, especially when all your pawns are facing one direction of the board, which is going to give you it's like swimming with the river. It gives you strength behind you. When you go in the direction of your pawns, you're getting extra boost.
Makes sense.
Word? All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, so you played queen f3. He plays 95, which, by the way, was a great move by him. He was a heads-up play, so regardless of kind of, my critiques of queen f3 and that f4 was better, the truth is just on an individual level, this was a good move by him. He sees the opportunity to fork and get rid of your valuable bishop. So that was good for black. Now he plays d6, and you go for e5. So the next thing I would say is, like, let's back up to basic principles here, too, and just remember that before we want to start doing some of this stuff, we probably need to get the knight out. Get this knight out, maybe develop the bishop. Not necessarily to f4, because it can be attacked, or even attacked like this. But just get your pieces developed and get your rooks in the center before you're looking to change the game. It's just, this is a little bit too soon here. That cool? Any questions on that? Cool.
No questions. I totally agree with you.
Cool. So f4. Not f4. E5. D takes e5. Queen takes. Knight d7. Okay, you back up. This isn't working out in the worst way for you because he's left his king side with the knight. The best move for him on e5 was actually this move to gain a tempo and a discovered attack on the pawn. So the fact that he took here and retreated his knight, now you've got some chances. You're working the queen back around. I like it. You got to go queen h4, even if they see it. The knight comes back, and now you're actually threatening this. So this is funny. The last game you won, even though you were kind of in big trouble, and that king was volatile, and we learned some important lessons, like prioritize our king safety in an unbalanced position. Here, despite whatever advice I've given you, and this f4 advice is going to be great for your future games, like really remembering our positional strength. But forget all that, because if we're on move 15 here, and you just ask me who's better, forgetting the road how we got here, you got a great position here, man. You played really well overall, and this looks very good for you.
All right.
Seriously, good stuff. So now what's funny is the only reason this one got away from you is you didn't realize how close you actually were to checkmate here. It's pretty funny. You ended up taking his rook, which kind of led to a big trade, rook for rook.
Right.
But actually, if you play, let me think. Where's the move? So knight to g5 doesn't quite work. I want it to, because of mate on h7. But if they take, there's not quite a way to move this bishop and get checkmate. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at this and thinking that there's a mate for white, and there isn't.
What if you kill?
Okay.
He takes, and then it's mate, because he can't.
Well, with knight g5, I see knight g5 takes. My problem is after takes, he's gonna take with the king, and he actually gets out.
Oh, he took with the king. Yeah. That was the issue. Oh, yeah. If
you were right though.
have,
That was good heads up.
yeah, if you would have, yeah. I remember now. He took with the king. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what happened in the game. So he took your rook, and after you went for this, he ran away with the king. Yeah, so it actually transposed. The move order transposed. So here's a funny thing, and this is going to get a little bit advanced, but it's really not in the long term. So I want to pause to say that probably the best approach here, even if we don't see a concrete mate, and this is super hard because like I think what you did was really the right thing to do. You kind of got unlucky, and he found king takes. But one of the things here is that even if he wins this rook, if you can just bring a few more pieces over here, because we're kind of lacking we're just barely lacking the knockout blow, you're probably still winning. And so the move I really like is a move like knight to d2. With the idea being that if they take, all we're going to do is play the simple move and just take back. Like, we're not even going to try for more right now. Because if we look at the overall weaknesses of black's position, and the threats that are coming with knight to g5, and the other knight maybe coming in to help, this is a position that is just super difficult for black to defend. And in a practical game, I would favor you every time. So one of the big lessons about this is that we want to value square control more than material if we can. And in this particular case, probably those dark squares are so weak, you probably could have afforded to give up the bishop for the rook and still been in a very dangerous position. But all right, honestly, dude, I mean, you kind of got unlucky here. You played good. He took with the king, and now all of a sudden it's like crap. There's no more checkmate. So, unfortunately, that means that he gets the rook and gets to get out. And that's exactly what happened in the game, and you went down a piece. So, knight h7 check, and then you make a trade. I mean, you were pushing him. You were pushing. But it's hard right now because we've lost all of our firepower.
Yep.
So we kind of play a little tickle here, give some checks. I think ultimately you played a pretty solid game here. Got unlucky with that attack not working out. Queen takes c5. This is good. Okay, so really up to here, you had gotten yourself kind of back in it. What were you seeing on rook takes e6?
I have no clue, but when I see it now, it's obviously a blunder.
Probably you were just down on time, right? Maybe, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that was the case. I think I was running low on time. I think that was actually the case. I was running low on time. I was just making moves fast, and then I was just like, I blundered hard there. Yeah.
I mean, it's normal. I just didn't know if there was any other kind of tactic that could be instructed upon. I'm updating my my coaching command real quick because someone just pointed out that I have an old command. I'm now coaching Hofstra Julius, world's strongest man. That's who you are, man. You're the world's strongest man. That's pretty awesome. So,
yep.
You're like, yep. All right, updated my command, everybody. Stop yelling at me. I'm gonna try it now. See if it works. There we go. World's strongest man. So, okay, you got unlucky this game. I think there's been some good lessons. Again, I'm not trying to drive it home, but that's my job as a coach. Really remember this idea of f4 because that's our big picture chess kind of thinking here improved. But even in the end, you know, if you don't play rook takes c6, even if you play like queen e5 check, which checks the king and protects the rook, and maybe you bring the knight in, you know, or maybe defend the rook on a square that guards things. Like, it's not totally over yet. His king is a little bit naked, right? You could try to open it up and see what happens. So I think that anytime your opponent's king is in a less than ideal spot, I would encourage you to kind of, don't give up. Don't, especially as we get into like Pogchamps and other things. I mean, crazy things happen, blunders happen. So don't get reckless with material when your opponent's king is still potentially open, because there's always a chance for a tactical blunder.
For sure.
Cool. Um, all right, man. Um, so last time, by the way, you and I, you and I had a lesson. We went over a couple games, and then we backed up and did some opening review before we transitioned into you playing with some commentary. I'm wondering if maybe we want to do a little bit of that now. What do you think? Do you want me to? What are you looking for? This is your adventure. I'm just a character here. What would you like to do?
I would love to play some game and then get your view on it.
Okay, get some feedback.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
All right, well, let's do that. Anyone just tuning in, thanks for being here. We're coaching Haftor Julius, the Mountain from HBO, and you can go to his channel as well. Give him a follow.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, well, I'm gonna follow you. Speaking of giving a follow, I'm gonna follow you on chess.com.
Nice.
So,
Thank you.
What time control do you want to play? Let's think. Do we want to do some Pog time control training, which is a little longer? But so that's going to mean less feedback from me, right? Because the game will be longer. Or do we want to play 5 minute so the game's a little faster? We get a little more real time feedback. I kind of vote the 5 minute route if you're open to that.
I'm down for 5 minutes. I think that's also a good practice, because then when I play Pogchamps, I feel like I can actually give myself more time to actually think, and then I'm gonna play most likely, hopefully, a better game as well.
Yeah, good call. Good call. I agree. And one of the things that I want to talk about at the end of this lesson, I'm saying out loud now, in case it's our last lesson, is I want to make sure we talk a little bit about Armageddon. If you do get a tiebreaker with your opponent, I want to make sure I've given you some advice on the strategy there as far as what to think about. So let's remind me of that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that before the lesson's over. But all right, I'm following you. So go ahead and start a game whenever you want. You can go ahead and search a 5 minute game, and I will be observing.
Nice, sounds good. Begins.
Here we go.
And I'm white.
N white BRE. No, N Whitber. Okay. All right, so let's try to play our openings, what we've talked about. Awesome. Loving it. Okay. Doing good. What is that song you're humming? I like it.
I have no clue. I'm just having something. I get sometimes.
I love it.
Silenced when I'm just playing chess, just enjoying the moment.
It's like meditation, right? It's just good for the brain.
It is. It truly is. I don't know why I did that, but I'm gonna take. He takes. I take his rook. No, I mean his bishop. Oh, I took with his queen. Okay, that's fine. I might push up here because I feel like that's a great move. Um. So how was your day, man?
It was good. It's been a lot of chess commentary today. Like I told you, I was doing. This is our weekly event, the Speed Chess Grand Prix. So
Nice.
we had a lot of strong grandmasters. Not Hikaru, because Hikaru was busy beating Magnus Carlsen in Armageddon fashion over there in the Magnus Carlsen Tour final. It's actually pretty awesome, pretty epic.
Yeah.
Regardless of who won, it was an epic match. Hikaru won on command to force a tiebreaker, and then he won in Armageddon, which we're going to talk about what Armageddon is. But I'm doing good. Pretty lucky. Get to do chess all day.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. That's so cool.
I'm gonna let you focus so we can go over this one.
Absolutely. You're gonna take this pawn here. That's okay. Here's a free pawn.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Just keep focused, like we said. You're playing quickly and trying to be aware of every move. What are the threats? What are the squares available? What did they leave behind? All that stuff.
So, okay, what's happening here? He has 2 pawns here and my bishop. I don't like that, obviously. Well, my bishop is actually protected by my queen. I can bring my rook to b1. If he takes 1 pawn, I can take his pawn and I bring my rook into the game. I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Because she's gonna take 1 pawn, definitely. And take this pawn back. Takes this pawn. I take this pawn. He has more time because I'm thinking too much. I have to start to make some moves. Okay, his queen moved there. What's his plan? Well, okay. Okay. Well, I could offer trade. Really, I could do that. I think I'm gonna move fast. I'm running out of time. I'm winning still, so I just wanna offer trade.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great thought process. Up material, make a trade.
Yeah.
You're doing great. I'm trying not to do commentary, not even because I don't want to help you, but because it's just helpful for me to let you play, and then we can talk about it after.
Appreciate it. Okay, he doesn't want to trade. That's okay. I'll just take this here. I have this nice pawn here on A. Let's just open. Well, okay. He does not. Oh, think of the thing. Bomb. Go here. Still have his rook open. I just kill his rook. His free rook there. I'm gonna take it next move. He doesn't. Fuck. Am I doing something mistake? Am I fucking something up? No. Okay. I'm okay. I'm still okay. Okay. Great move by him. I'm gonna take. Bum.
We like when they play moves like that.
Yep. Okay. Let's think. Move fast. I'm running out of time. Think fast, Thor. You gotta think. Okay. I'm gonna trade. I'm gonna take.
All right.
Move. Let's move pieces. Winning here. It's always good when you're winning. Okay. Move. Okay. Wow, what a fucking asshole. Move. Great. I'm gonna do this. And I won. Looks like. And I won.
Dude,
I won.
you crushed it. You crushed it.
Nice.
See, with normal people I flex, but with you it just feels embarrassing to do that. I feel like your arm is the size of my entire torso. It might be.
You think so?
You think it is? Maybe. Close.
Close, maybe. I don't know. No.
Anyway, dude. So okay, we're gonna go over this game, but you played fantastic. Great game. Okay. Overall, your mindset, you were just very aware of all the things that matter. You were very aware you were winning, so you stayed focused on simplifying when he started creating threats. And I like that you were aware of the clock. Your tempo was good because you took your time, but once it started to be a reality that you could beat yourself, you don't ever want to beat yourself, right? Where the thing about chess is, even though there is the science aspect of course we want to play the best move on every move, there's the game aspect of it, which is that really that's not a reality, and we don't want to put ourselves in a position to lose because we were being a perfectionist, right? And you did everything great. And I'm gonna analyze this game, and I'm gonna invite you to that board so that we can do things together.
Yep.
And it's gonna be sweet. Now, so I just invited you. You're there. We are going to check it out. But, okay, so I gave you all the good news. Now I'm going to jump ahead and give you the bad news. Everything could have gone wrong on this move 16 when you played the move E5. What move did you not see that your opponent was threatening here? It's a long-range diagonal move, and these are the ones we're kind of working on as far as tactical. What?
I'm looking at this queen and what it's attacking, but if he kills, I take back.
Yeah, so it's not the queen actually. It's the bishop on the diagonal that was the problem if he found it.
Ooh, pinning my queen.
Yeah, ouch town. So what's the thing, dude, is like up until that moment, everything was great. Like you literally played like a perfect opening. And I'm gonna back up and reiterate it, not because just to show you, we don't just go over when things go wrong. I want to show you what you're doing right so that you can build on that, and remember that. But in this particular position, I don't think you realized how overwhelming your advantage already was. We backed up a couple moves, and in this particular position, you are multiple knockout blows away from game over. E5 right away would have been crushing. Just forking the bishop and knight, and you're winning large amounts of material no matter what they do. I mean, you could take either piece and get a discovery on the queen, win the knight next. Another move that would have been overwhelming. Move bishop takes f6. Just take it. It's a trade, but it's not an equal trade because it actually opens their king, right? So you trade and take here, and this is also just totally overwhelming advantage. In fact, you're probably a rook lift away from checkmate. And in hindsight, we could say that neither of you guys saw this idea. So even though you missed it, clearly he was on the same level and he didn't see it either. But these are the kind of opportunities that could turn a great game into a bad one when we miss our opponent's next move. And I had to come and highlight it first because I want to focus on the positive of this game. It's the stuff to build on for the next game. But again, the objective way we have to start approaching tactics is when we make any move, anything, you have to just start to see like not like why did they go there, but what's their next move, and that implies the thing I keep talking about, taking stock, measuring a position. What does the queen literally do here that she did not do here? Well, she obviously attacks this, but she also obviously attacks this. And if we just quickly recognize that, I know it's a blitz game, we're more likely to see this kind of tactic, right? And the point is we have to also be aware anytime we've moved pawns in front of our king that we are in danger of those sort of things happening. So there's those are the different things to put in our pocket. Like an open king is always we have to be aware of any potential option on an open diagonal or an open file toward our king. Like when we're ranking priorities, that has to be at the top of our list. Open diagonals and open files toward our king. But secondly, it's about recognizing what your opponent has under their control now that they didn't before. And the more we can just like make that a muscle that's just like automatic, the more we quickly go like, oh, I took there because I was going to play this, but oh crap, like now I see that's not an option. And at the last moment, you will stop blunders like that. You'll find king h1 for safety just to get the king off the diagonal. Or you'll move the queen to a safe square. But after getting pretty much a winning position here out of the opening, that was a moment that me and your chat, I don't know if anybody clipped it. I was watching your chat and we were all very nervous when you played e5. We were very nervous about bishop c5. After that, it was smooth sailing and you crushed it. So anyway, we cool with that? I mean, any thoughts on are you digging the feedback I'm giving you about being aware of all the squares that are now available? And especially, it seems to be a theme of the day, just talking about how to prioritize king safety tactics. Like, I don't even want to call it king safety, just king tactics. Tactics that involve checks and pins, right? The game we went over in all these positions, whenever your king is on any kind of open air, you have to feel the breeze. You have to feel that the window is open toward our king. We have to feel the breeze so that we don't miss what's coming. Are these pieces of advice helping you, do you feel?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
A lot.
Just want to make sure you're feeling good and all that stuff. So, okay, so back to the opening because I want to reiterate that you were balling, awesome. You played our Italian. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. I was super proud. You were like you're a big guy, but you were kind of like, I was like just proud of my chess guy. Am I allowed to say that even though you could like crush me?
Absolutely.
I was super. Anyway, so knight f6, d3. Great stuff, man. d3, d6, castles. You're rocking. Bishop e6. Knight c3 was very fast, but also very good, actually. Because if they take here, this is a position that has actually improved your strength more than before. And I wanna see if you remember a chess thing I said from the last lesson. Why why do I evaluate this trade as being advantageous for white? There was a piece of criteria I gave you when evaluating any trade. There's actually a very simple question we can ask and answer, and it should tell us whether this trade is good or bad for us. And it's the reason I like this trade for white. Do you remember what that is?
I have to admit I do not.
Okay. So, well, think about it right now, just in terms of, because you might figure it out naturally. Why do you think I like this trade for you? Versus, like, why am I saying this is good instead of telling you to take him and double his pawns? I actually like this for him better than I do what happened in the game. I think this is better for you than if you had taken. Why do you think I think that?
Is it because my queen is open?
Boom. And so that's like the hardcore, like, specific, but what it actually means is you have more open squares in general. The piece of criteria I gave you, which is good for all future questions, should I allow a trade or not? Very simple criteria. Does the trade give my pieces more squares or his pieces more squares? So it's that simple. Does this trade give my pieces more options or his pieces more options? So here's what's funny, and this is something that grandmasters think about a lot, and obviously there's more to it than that, but it's actually a very simple criteria. This trade, despite the fact that it doubles black's pawns, actually gives him more control over the center, and when you remove the smoke, when he gets castled, what does he now have for his rook? Open file. He could even castle long and double rooks on the open file. So a lot of times there's evolution in our principles of how we learn things. So there is the principles of double pawns where people are like, oh, but double pawns are bad. But in these double pawns actually aren't bad because they're protected. They actually help increase black's control over the board, and they give new life that wasn't there before. So in the criteria of who gets more squares after a trade, black wins. In this trade, the question is who gets more squares? The obvious answer is white. White has increased the scope over the center, and white has actually brought more tension to the area of the board that matters. So, yes, and we can't be that dogmatic. And as you improve, like there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, there's a universal question. Does this trade give my pieces more squares than they previously had? If the answer is yes, it's probably a good trade for you. Does this trade give him more pieces than he had? If the answer is yes for him, then probably you should avoid that trade. And believe it or not, that is like literally worth just like 50 rating points right there. Just like from now on, when you evaluate trades, ask the question, am I gaining more than I'm losing from a pure space standpoint? And that probably tells you whether you should do the trade or not.
Okay.
So I love this trade. Long story short, then he starts going nuts. He gives you the pawn. You're like, thank you very much. He gives you this guy. You're like, thank you very much. Boomtown. Love it. Literally zero criticism. I already meant what I said, that everything you did in this game I loved, besides that part where you almost blundered your queen. Bishop here. Great. F4, dude. Were you thinking of my advice when you played F4, or did you just play it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Boom. F4 is awesome. By the way, you also have other good moves. E5 is great too because it already wins a piece. But I love F4. You're like, just bring in the house. Bring in the pain. I loved it. He plays H6. You back up. Again, like I said, the only criticism I had is that, we missed that tactic and that maybe, yeah, exactly. You didn't realize how good your position already was, dude. Like your position was already winning here. Like you could have taken F6 right away even and done the rook lift. E5 has been on the agenda for a couple moves. So the only mistake you made was after getting off to a great start was you were focused on playing quickly. It was blitz, but you didn't realize just how dominant your position was already, and that could have backfired right here. Right here, he could have did this, but when he missed that, after this, we were back to smooth sailing, and I want you to remember that for future games because you were very clean here. Like seriously, you were very clean. You take on B7. You brought your pieces out. I loved it. Queen D4 was 100% the right mindset. You're like, I'm winning. Let's get the queens off the board. I loved it. Here, instead of taking the pawn, maybe you could have even taken the rook right away, but it's fine. I mean, again, the rook wasn't going anywhere. Right here, you made one small misstep in that probably you should have done the same mindset you did when you played queen d4, meaning he attacked your queen, and you said, all right, then I'll offer a queen trade. Because what you end up doing there is you kind of gain a tempo, right? Because is he going to trade queens? No, because he doesn't want the endgame. So you basically gained a free move where he had to run away. When he played rook d8 here, you probably should have done the same thing, like offered the queen trade again, and either make him do it or make him lose time to run away. Because the move you played, if he had found this one move, rook c8, pinning your bishop to the queen, it actually gets a little bit tricky. You're still winning, but you have to be a little bit careful. You might have had to play a move like this or something, I don't know, to guard the bishop. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely, absolutely.
But again, so I said it would be all positive. So the tactic in the beginning, we have to be more aware of how we prioritize our king, our king, whenever our king is feeling the breeze. If there's any open diagonal, that's how we're going to remember it. That's why I do funny things, because it's easy to remember. Remember the open window. You're feeling the breeze, right? You're naked here.
Yep.
Don't forget tack. Anytime our king is on an open diagonal or open file, we have to feel the breeze so we don't forget. So other than that, again, it was awesome. It was perfect. And then right here at the end, I would have just kept offering the queen trade, but what you did was good. You won the rook. And dude, it was all money from here. Seriously, you converted well. Your chatter from your chat, Mustard Fuzz or something, said he loved your conversion. That was in your chat.
Oh, nice.
So I wanted to say that.
Nice. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And Mustard Fuzz was right. You converted well. So, dude, that was awesome.
Thank you, man.
That was good. All right.
I mean,
so now we're gonna feel the breeze. No more missing the breeze on the king.
Yes. No more. Feel the breeze. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm happy with the game, but looking back, I see I could have played better. If I would have been playing against a better person, obviously I lost.
Well, no, I mean, yeah. That tactic with bishop c5, pinning the queen, was an opportunity to lose. Other than that, you were never really in danger of losing. But okay, you're right. No, and you should focus on that because that's what you can focus on getting better at, right? Is just feeling the breeze, no more missed tactics there, and also just recognizing your position was dominant, right? I mean, recognize your strength when you have it too and convert it. Convert it before you give chances, you know? By the way, you want to know a funny thing? Because it reiterates another point of mine that may be even more valuable than the others made in this game, is if we were going with the criteria of a trade. Only make trades when we gain more than our opponents do. When you took on c6 and his queen comes out, whose pieces get more active from that trade?
Yes.
Right. And I'm so against the dogmatic lessons as a coach because I feel like they can be dangerous. Some coaches are just only do that. I want you to be aware, but really it is true that most of the time, a trade that gives your opponent more squares than they previously had is a trade you never should have made. Yes, you could argue, of course you don't have to play e5 and miss this. You can make another move and you're still totally winning, right? You would avoid the pin. But the bottom line is that really the first mistake you made was not even e5. It was actually d takes c6, giving him a little more life than he had previously. And it's nice when we can see lessons like that, because if we can add that criteria to future games, don't make trades that give my opponent more than I get from just a new squares perspective. It'll be big time helpful. So, all right, you want to do one more? Do another game?
Absolutely.
I'm
Can you just give me 1 minute? Kelsey, did you just call my name? I'll be 20 minutes more. Okay, baby. All right.
It's bedtime. It's late for you. What is it? It's 10:30 there?
It's 11:13.
Oh, well, okay.
But that's okay.
All right, so one more game.
The wife wants to go to bed, and when you have a pregnant wife, you have to go to bed with her, man.
That's right, man. Dude, I've been there. So you're preaching to the choir.
Yep, buddy. All right. But I'm also super I love routine, so I actually like to go to bed early, Not when I say early, I just mean before midnight, I don't like to stay up too long.
Yeah, you need your sleep.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 9 p.m. I'm an old man. I'm 34 years old, dude. How old are you? Like 22 or something?
I am.
Wait, how old are you?
I am.
It's
How old am I? Fuck, I'm focusing so much on the fucking chest. I can't even think right now. I am. I'm 31.
okay. So we're almost this. I mean, you're only a few years younger than. But yeah, dude, I'm all about early bed.
Yeah,
You know.
early bed is nice.
Oh wait, you're playing. Sorry, I wasn't following you.
I am.
Here we
I am
go.
playing it. Yeah, I'm
All right,
playing it.
keep rocking.
Let me think. What is going on here? Let me think. I dislike this guy. How can I get rid of this
You're
motherfucker?
doing great, man. Keep doing you. There's that humming. You know, I love it when you're humming. I love it.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. Fuck. Shit. Fuck.
You're all right. Stay calm. Consider options.
Let's see.
Nice.
No! Fuck! I
You're
blundered.
right. You're right.
Oh my god, I blundered. No! No! Well. I'm gonna fix this. I'm running out of time as well. Absolutely. He should change. He should trade. My queen is in danger. I can't move my rook. I have to open up my pawn. Oh, my time is running out. Like, what am I doing? Great. I want that. Oof. Oh, shit. Fuck. What can I do? No! I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I'm checkmate. I lost this game.
It's all right, man. Hey, I think you were doing better than you thought you were. I'm just gonna, for this particular game, we're gonna go backwards to forwards instead of the other way around. Because even at the very end, you were still doing great. And I know time pressure was in, so it's not about, rubbing it in any way. I'm just helping you realize that you were actually doing okay. So, when he played this move Rook D1, I think you forgot your knight was actually on it. You actually had the ability to take him here, which is tough to see under time pressure. But you thought that this knight takes b2 move was a huge blunder. Did you realize you could have actually taken back? You were okay. I think you forgot that the rook was actually protected.
Oh my god! Yeah, shit, yeah.
Right. So if you take it, you're still winning. Right. You're still up a piece. I think that probably, and so this was a good insight into like where time pressure can basically, just screw us up, right? I think you knew you had taken too much time. You were down on the clock. This guy wasn't playing great moves, but he was clearly making an effort to beat you on the clock, and I think that kind of rattled you a little bit. Like, at what point were you really getting nervous about how much time you had left?
I guess around the end, when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to ask a vague question. I was asking, like, is there like a certain time you see that makes you nervous? Like, you see you've gotten under a minute, or you see you've gotten under 30 seconds or something.
Probably like, when I have less than a minute left, I get nervous, I guess.
So that's that. I'm asking because psychologically, like, it may help me give different kinds of advice. I think that it is. First of all, it is unsettling when we get under a minute on the clock. One way we can work on that a little bit, and this seems crazy, but one way we can work on that is you might want to sign off every day by playing a couple bullet games. Have you ever played bullet?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. It might help you to just realize, like, that there's a lot of moves you can still play with under a minute, right? And while obviously you do need to speed up in those cases, and you don't want to lose a game on the clock, in this particular game you were better for a very long time, and so I think that really one, just psychologically helping yourself feel more confident with less time, and two, realizing in this game I think you kind of did the thing that we were trying to avoid in the last game, and that you kind of became a little bit too perfect. um, Once you reach this position here where you won his bishop, it was a very nice find. You saw that he just hung his bishop and you took it. I think at this point you should have been like the mindset you had in the last game where you remembered you were winning and you started offering a queen trade. You basically took this mindset of, let me just simplify the position because you're winning, right? And you didn't want to lose on time. As soon as you're up this kind of material, I would advise you to have the same kind of mindset. Like, play simple moves that keep your pieces protected. Nothing you did was bad. In fact, this rook lift idea, I really loved how you were playing. But what it did end up happening was you kind of got yourself in trouble with like tricky tactics. Like, you started getting nervous about the pin. You know, you took a lot of time before you found rook d6, and then you blundered this because you forgot the pawn was here. My point was, if you just have a mindset that maybe isn't as good as what the engine suggests, but it's all about being safe and simple and keeping the approach consistent, like one move you could play is just queen f7 here. Just offer the queen trade, because you know with the queens off the board, life's going to get easier. And if he doesn't trade queens, you've got everybody together. It's hard to make blunders even in time pressure this way. I would say that what's another option? Like, after you played knight c5, again, maybe offer a queen trade. Like, look to solidify the position when you're winning, instead of looking for kind of obscure tactics, because even if objectively your position was still fine, your pieces started to feel kind of loose. And what did rook f6 do? It actually made your back rank weaker, which is ultimately something that helped lose the game, right? You following me?
Absolutely.
So
yep.
and again, I hate saying that, because like, if I want to give specific advice, the truth is on queen a8, you actually had this move knight c6, which just traps the queen, which is hilarious because the rook is actually protected, and the knight guards a7, and this knight guards b7. So, and the rook guards this. So, but here, like, that's a crazy tactic. Like, computers see knight c6 right away, and title players do. But like, this is, I don't even want to say specific advice. Thor, you missed the trap the queen, because here's the thing, you're never going to get that position again. And what's the advice we can actually use from this game that helps us win future games? I would say it's that the moment you're winning, dude, even under time pressure, look for simple moves that limit your opponent's chances, simple moves that limit your chances of making a blunder, simple moves that offer queen trades, that look to get rid of your opponent's powerful pieces. And that's not wimpy chess, that's smart chess. Because the moment you have a material advantage, if you can just take away their threats, your chances of winning go way up. Whether the computer agrees that queen f7 is the best by like a couple percentage points is actually not relevant. Because how humans win chess is they take away their opponent's chances and they limit their opportunities to kind of screw it up, right? To beat themselves. And even though you were winning later on, and maybe could have, did this quite crazy queen trap, or even after this, like, you were still winning, up until the very end, even where he played rook d1, like, you could have taken it. But the point is, you had already gotten yourself rattled. You had already lost the game in your own mind, and you were under a ton of time pressure to go with it. So, those are the kind of games that are going to get away from us. And the thing that we can control in the future is finding moves that limit our opponent's chances, and having that mindset of, don't screw this up under time pressure. Let me look for some simple, safe, smart chess, and I'm going to convert this one. All right, speech over. You hear where I'm coming from?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I did it in the first game. I just decided to trade pieces.
Yep.
I don't know why, because like, this is just the next game after. I don't know why my brain didn't just think that through. I should have just thought that through. Hey, I'm actually 2 pieces over.
Right.
Let's just trade pieces. I'm definitely gonna think about that for the future. I actually have been thinking about that, trying to just, if I'm up pieces, always just try to trade and just like see simple moves that I won't blunder, but like see simple moves that I can just trade, and win like that, and just move fast, because that's gonna make the other person like, that's gonna make them, because they're losing and they have to like. It's easier to blend when I guess when you're losing.
Yeah, and when you feel, or even more said, that like when you feel uncomfortable, like when we feel lost, right?
Mhm.
Like when we're just not sure of our plan. So all those things are actually more conducive for blunders than when you have a path, you have a goal, and if you're winning, that goal is kind of self-explanatory. Let me take away my opponent's chances. Let me simplify, right? Let me get these pieces off the board. And all right. Well, I know you need to wrap it up, so let me give my last thing I wanted to say in case you and I don't have a chance to connect before day one. And depending on how it goes, we can have lessons, during the event possibly. But if you reach Armageddon, I want to make sure you're comfortable with the rules. If you get an Armageddon tiebreaker, however, whether you and your opponent each win a game or two draws, so the way it works is white gets 5 minutes, but black only gets 4 minutes, but black has draw odds. So black basically wins for two results, both a draw and a win, and white has to win, right? What do you feel more comfortable in that position doing? Like taking white because you get the first move and an extra minute, or would you rather be black with the draw odds?
I think I would choose white with the
To
extra
go for
minute.
it? So
Yeah.
I think at this level, I actually feel like that's the advice I'm going to give. I think that you're better with your white openings, right? You know them well. You're getting good
Mhm.
positions there, right? The extra time at this level really can pay off. So the advice I'm going to be giving
Because
my
it's only
students,
it's only it's only it's only 5 minutes, and they get 4 minutes.
yeah,
It's not a whole lot of time, and you get it. I feel like when you get that extra 1 minute, it can actually, especially if you just had two even plays,
yep,
that's gonna make a difference. I feel
yeah,
like.
I agree. And I think that at the highest levels, as at the highest levels, they often choose black because at their level, the ability, for example, Nakamura had Armageddon today versus Magnus Carlsen, and he chose black because at his level, that's a huge advantage because they know so many openings that are like legit just a forced draw that could just trade everything, right? And so it's a strategic advantage when you put your opponent there, and it's worth the time that they sacrifice. But at this level, I'm glad you said that because I agree. I think you're open. I think you feel more confident with white. I think the extra time will make you feel more confident. And I think if you get in that position, I would advise you to choose white. With the only exception being like if somehow you played e4 and this particular person played an opening you didn't know and you haven't had time to think about it or recalibrate your energy to feel good, that might be the only exception where you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to get as white, and maybe white was the game you lost, right? Maybe you lost with white and you won with black, and so if you're in a match where that happened, somehow you lost with white and won with black, in that position I might advise you to think about it twice and maybe take black. But otherwise, I'm with you, and I think you should take white if you get in one of those spots in Pogchamps.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna think about it. I mean, yeah, and then make the decision. But who gets to choose? Like, who gets to choose? Like, why would I, if it's twice a draw?
So the
How
person who has the higher percentage score, when you use our game report and it gives you that like accuracy score, the cap score,
the person that has the higher accuracy score
gets to
gets to
choose.
choose?
Yep.
I see. I
and,
see.
and,
And
and it's
that's
dynamically equal, by the way. Like honestly, I mean, you might prefer white, someone might prefer black. Like maybe other coaches are going to give their students different advice about it, whatever, right? I think that the reason why it's a very common thing, in fact, I was just told by someone in chat that actually Hikaru didn't choose black, Magnus chose white, which I'm kind of shocked by at their level, and Magnus went on to lose. So I'm a little critical of that decision. That surprises me that Magnus would have chosen white because I think at the highest levels, black is almost always preferred in Armageddon at high levels. But all right, either way, what I would say is it's dynamically equal. It's by design meant to be a little bit crazy, and it creates a situation where someone has to win. That's the idea of it. But I would say I advise you to think about taking white. That's where you're most confident. The extra time really matters at this level, and other than the exception that if somehow your white openings were against that person just weren't going well, I would say you should take white.
absolutely. Yep.
All
I
right,
think I'm
man.
gonna go.
Well, I'll let you let you get to the misses. I can hang up on the Zoom call and let you
Yep, I think actually I'm gonna. Yeah, thank you so much for the class, champ. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time. I know we were actually supposed to have a class yesterday, but my date is got so busy. I
Yeah,
had
no
to actually
worries.
cancel last minute. Then I just sent you a message on Discord, and you've been super helpful, super like generous with your time. So thank you again for that. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man.
I really appreciate that because I know that you're also super busy. You have 4 kids, a wife, and a ton of other things that you have to do every day. So for you to be able to, help me here today, I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, man. Seriously, you've been awesome, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, well, hopefully it's not our last time. It's probably our last one before the event kicks off, I would guess. But we'll
How
stay in
does it
touch. And
work? Am I allowed to get like classes with you in between?
yeah,
Like that's okay?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think we'll
It,
all,
like
we'll all be super busy. I mean, you'll be playing. I'm gonna do commentary. It's gonna be hard, but I think if we can make it work, it's not against the rules at all. So
let's see.
yeah,
Let's see how it goes. I mean, I'm just asking and see if there would be a possible opportunity. Maybe like if I felt like it,
for sure.
I might reach out. Yeah, I'll at least I know now that's it's not against the rules.
Yep.
Maybe there's some rules. You're not allowed
Yeah.
to.
No, not at all. Not at all. We want everyone to keep doing it. It's a lot of fun, and yeah. All right, man. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I'm super excited. I'm excited slash a bit nervous.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be fun and gonna be chaotic and yeah. Well, I can't wait. Good luck, dude. If we don't talk before your first round, and have a good night there.
appreciate appreciate it. Take care, man. Good. Have a good day. Is it day for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Well,
Have a good
it's
day.
it's 3:30. Let's get in the afternoon.
3:30.
So,
Okay, okay, okay. Have a good evening, my friend.
all right, man. See ya.
Take care. Peace. Bye bye.
All right. That's a half tour. He's the man. He's the man. Seriously, he's just so kind and super appreciative. Like he's just awesome. I really like him. Um, and I think he's got a pretty good chance. Like I said, I think he's right in the middle there. And at this level, I know that there's going to be different groups, and people are going to be like, well, this group's better than this group or stronger than this group. And for sure, I'm not here to deny that there are some players that are better, but overall, at this level, like certain things are executed upon, like critical thinking is in play that day. Like anybody can blunder at this level. You know what I mean? Like players go from zero understanding to 12, 13, 1400 understanding literally like this when certain things kick in.